Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful, rainy Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having a superb weekend so far. Students, in this class, we are looking at an IELTS speaking part 2, the long part, the cue card. And the topic of this cue card is pretending to be friendly. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch, but to join the chat, you do need to be a channel member. Welcome Fuang, Romelia, Angel, Amra, Gopu, Dylan. So many members already in the class. That is lovely to see. Welcome Alexi, our moderator. Students, as usual, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. These are the websites that power these live lessons. GIELTShelp.com is for general IELTS. We will use these websites in this class and the next class to interact with our students through the student speaking chat interface. The website looks like this for academic. It's the blue background. Click this big red button that's just right above my head there to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. We want to help as many of you as possible. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center, and we help thousands of students every day. You can check out some of their testimonials here on our testimonials page, our lovely, awesome, amazing students that have succeeded on their exam. GIELTShelp.com, green background. Click this big red button there. Again, it's just a one-time payment. We don't believe in subscription models. Students, use the code CHOICE9 on the website to get an extra little discount of 10%. Download the apps, link them to the websites, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Use or follow our Instagram, IELTS_AE Help and GIELTS Help for vocabulary, reels, fun videos, idioms, and much, much more. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. We have our books on Amazon. You can definitely get paperback versions of our exams. Search for the titles AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS on Amazon. Now, our schedule for the 22nd to the 29th. So we've got 2 classes for you right now. Speaking, followed by a short 30-minute break, and then followed by speaking part 3. So part 2 and part 3. And then, as per usual, no classes, 23rd to the 26th. And then back on the 27th, Thursday, with speaking part 1. And then a full 3 days of classes with task 2 reading, speaking part 2, speaking part 3. We've also got a new speaking practice video released for you just in the last few hours. Check that out when you have a chance. I'll add the link. This is a brand new one. It's where this new link is coming from, the Choice 9. All right. Gopu, it's good to hear that you're doing better. Yeah, a lot of people getting flus and colds these days. I myself am trying to avoid one here. My family's a bit under the weather. I'm doing okay so far. Knock on wood. I'll knock with my other finger here on my desk. There we go. All right. IELTS speaking part 2. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the IELTS, for those of you where IELTS is a new territory, the speaking is 15 minutes. It's made up of 3 parts. The first part is the introduction and some questions on some general topic like music that you like or sports that you play, hobbies that you have. And then after about 5 minutes of these part 1 questions, the examiner will switch it up a bit, and this is unique. This is not like everyday conversation. You have to practice this no matter how good your English. You must practice part 2 to get a good score because it's a unique type of exercise. Basically, you get a cue card or you get some questions in a booklet. For me, when I did my live IELTS last, they just showed me a booklet. They open up a little booklet, slide it in front. They say, please do not touch the booklet. You will see some questions. You have 1 minute to read these. Think about your answers. You can take notes in the 1 minute time if you wish, and then you have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Okay, so now my 1 minute starts. That's the last bit that the examiner does before your preparation time. And now you have 3 minutes, basically. You have 1 minute to prepare and you have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. So most of the time you're going to be taking about 3 minutes for this part of your test. IELTS speaking is a 15-minute part of the overall exam, so it's much faster than the listening, reading, writing. Those parts are basically an hour each. Speaking is just 15 minutes. It's 4 times faster and it's worth the same amount. So it affects your overall score by 25%. So it's worth 1/4 of your overall score along with the other 3, listening, reading, writing. So, but 4 times faster. So you really have to knock it out of the park, as they say. That's a baseball idiom, which means you have to do really well. Let me write that one down for you. Students, do take note of new vocabulary as you hear it. Okay, so you have to knock it out of the park. Knock it out of the park means you must do really well. It's a baseball idiom, right? When you knock the ball out of the park in baseball, anybody know what that's called? All right. Yes, I am, Fwong, and I'm going to even do up my collar button here. So when you knock the ball out of the park in baseball, what is that called? That's how you score points in baseball. That's how you become a hero for your team. What is it called? And Fwong, I'm glad that you checked out the new video. It's called a home run. Home run. When the ball is hit out of the park in baseball. Okay. Anyway, so speaking part 2, you have to knock it out of the park because it basically has the greatest impact on your speaking score. So the IELTS examiner really has a lot of time during those 3 minutes to think about your band level. That's where you basically prove yourself, okay? So let's take a look at this cue card. Let's work through the answer together, and then I will give you a chance to respond to this question as well. Now, you might have to make up the answer, okay? You might not be able to think about a situation right away where you had to be friendly with somebody. That happened for real, so you might need to make this up. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. We don't know. Okay, let's do this. So step 1, read the card very carefully, okay? Don't rush it. I should say read the questions very carefully, okay? You must answer all the questions on the cue card to get a good score. And you need to do that within 90 seconds, okay? Domenico, it's not a difficult question. Okay, so what I really want candidates to pay attention to is never set yourself up for failure. And maybe it's a good time to mention that because Domenico says, oh, it's a difficult question, okay? Never set yourself up up for failure. Do not think, oh no. That's a difficult question. It's as difficult as you make it, okay? And I know there is truth to saying, you know, that's a difficult question. It's not in my area of familiarity, you know, but that's fine. Domenico, just because you haven't experienced it before, you know, just think about, you know, I think a good example here is somebody who is planning to climb Mount Everest, okay? Just imagine if you're a mountaineer and you're planning to climb Mount Everest. It would be really, really terrible to approach the expedition as, uh-oh, this is going to be a super difficult and deadly climb. Okay, so you probably would, you know, if you're thinking that way, I definitely would recommend maybe don't try summiting Mount Everest. Your mindset, even though it might not be completely true, should be, I got this. I'm awesome. Easy peasy. Okay? So that should always be your mindset. And it should be the mindset for IELTS as well. You should never approach it as, oh no, this is going to be super hard. Because you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? So never approach a part 2 cue card question as, oh, this is horrible. I'm going to do terrible on this. This is a difficult question. Yikes. Okay, Alexi says, yes, it does. What should you do instead? So instead of ruminating on negative thoughts, okay? Okay. Yeah, Romelia, that's terrible. You should always be happy with your English. It's going to stifle you if you're never happy with your English. Take a page from my book, Romelia. I'm always optimistic, even in the face of failure. I never give up. I will die smiling. So it's a good page to take from my book. All right. So instead of ruminating, by the way, ruminating means to spin the same thought in your head. Okay, so instead of ruminating on negative thoughts, what should you do? Dylan, you can. You have it. It's in you. Okay, so what should you do? And this is a really good question. Instead of thinking, oh no, I've never had this before. I've never pretended to be friendly with people. What should you do? Romelia says, use your strengths. Yeah, think about your strengths. Yeah, absolutely. Calm down, come up with good ideas. Yeah. Think about it positively, Alexi. Yes, think it is easy. And most importantly, students, and this is what professionals do, this is what the mountaineer who is going to summit Everest does, is thinks about strategy. Use what you have, okay? Solutions, always, okay? All right, think about your training, think about your strategy. One foot in front of the other. Step by step, all right? So IELTS speaking part 2. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Who was this person? When did it happen? Why you had to be friendly and why you don't like him or her. What did you think about it later? Okay. So there we go. Now, just like we said, strategy. Okay. Okay, step 2. Identify the category and the tense. Okay, or the tenses. So here, you know that you're talking about a person, and it's kind of an event as well. Yeah, absolutely, Amra. Okay, so in this situation, you're talking about a person, you're talking about an event. All right, good. Now, let's discuss what you need when you talk about a person and event. You need to describe the person, right? So appearance. Then you have to give their personality. And here, you know, obviously you might get some ideas of why you need to be friendly with this person but not really like them. And then actions, right? And then you also need to combine it with that event. So event, time, plus location, right? Plus people, the attendees, plus activities, plus your experience, okay? That's what you need to include, all right? As long as you say a couple of sentences for each of these, you are going to do just fine, all right? Okay, tenses. Obviously, it's in the past, so it's a person you had to be friendly with, right? Look at the cue card. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with. Had to be, right? It's in the past. Now, of course, you're going to use past perfect and present perfect because it's expectations, right? And we use present perfect to emphasize expectations. Okay, so tenses are past, past continuous, past perfect, and probably some present perfect as well. Okay, those are the tenses that should immediately come into your mind. I had to do this, therefore I had to be friendly with this person, right? Okay, now, step 3. Come up with good ideas. And by the way, students, so when you say that you've never had to do that, do not fool yourself, my friends. I don't think there's any human in the world that has lived to the age of 10 and has not pretended to be friendly with another person for some purpose. That would be against our human nature, okay? So that's another reason to not think negatively, because the questions on the IELTS are created in such a way that 99.999% of people most likely have had that experience and should be able to talk about it. Okay, so if you really think about it, and you will realize that as soon as we start coming up with ideas, you'll be like, yeah, of course I've pretended to be friendly with people I didn't like. Come on now, right? Okay, so Alexi says, an examiner. Sure, let's say like, what kind of an examiner? A road test, right? So, road test, driving examiner that was rude. Sure, okay. So Alexi, specific, right? Who else? Angel, a strict teacher. Yeah, strict math teacher. I had that in grade 11, actually. Okay. I love it. Bogdan says an annoying cousin during a family wedding. Let's be specific, right? Okay. Amra says, a rude neighbor, Mr. Gunai. Okay. Rude neighbor, Mr. or Mrs. Gunai. Okay. Yeah, Shruti, a colleague or maybe a manager, right? So, a colleague, let's call it colleague Tim in a work project, maybe that you had to do together. for a budget proposal. Sure, of course. There are lots of situations where we have to get along with somebody even though they might not be our favorite person, right? All right. Yeah, maybe a teammate in a sport, right? That is a very common situation where we have to kind of put on our smile and be like, yeah, okay, for the victory of the game, I'm going to pretend like you are my friend, right? So maybe a teammate on a football team. Okay? You have to pretend like you're friendly because you want to win the game, and it's not going to happen if you're in conflict with one of your teammates. Okay? All right. Romelia, doesn't matter. Negative, positive. Don't judge the question. Just do the situation. Right? Doesn't matter. In the IELTS, it's not about good and bad. It's not about positive, negative. It's about you showing your best English. Don't question the question. Again, as soon as you start doing that, you're setting yourself up for failure. So you have to get into thought patterns that are absolutely positive. And yeah, in fact, Romelia, they do actually ask a certain number of negative questions in the IELTS because, of course, real situations, right? There's a balance of negative, positive. So destroying the environment, conflict, those questions do come up in IELTS speaking and in writing. Absolutely. Do not think that they're going to ask you just positive questions. Okay. All right. All right. Domenico says a noisy neighbor who had the tendency to brag about accomplishment and put down other people. Sure. And you pretend to be friendly with them because you have to live beside them, right? Okay. These are all possible great answers. And I think that an annoying cousin during a family wedding would be a really good one. Who came up with that? Maybe it was a part of the truth as well. So that was that was really good. Bogdan, that was you. That was a very clever thought. Let's go with that one, Bogdan. Okay. So step 4 is notes. Okay. And again, students, in part 2, in that 1-minute preparation time, especially when you have a question like this, where you might be imagining the situation. By the way, sometimes when you imagine the situation, you start to realize the real situation. It's like, oh yeah, I remember a wedding or a family gathering now where I had to be friendly with a mother-in-law or a cousin or some other relative that I'm not particularly fond of, right? So step 4 is useful notes. Okay. So first of all, the person. So the person's appearance. Okay, what does this cousin look like? Maybe they are short, chubby, freckles. Okay, brown hair. Not too much there, okay? Don't spend too much time on the appearance. The only reason for the appearance is just so we can place the context. Remember, the examiner's a stranger, and if you can create a quick, simple image of a unique person for the examiner, that's really good, okay? You want that, all right? So the appearance. Now the actions. Sorry, I should say personality. Plus actions, okay? So here is where I want you to focus, okay? I don't want you to worry too much about the appearance because that I'm sure you can make up. What I want you to do is I want you to focus on the personality backed by actions. So I'm going to say one, you say as many as you can, okay? So loud, screaming for minutes at a time, okay? So that would be personality, a loud person. That's a type of personality. Okay. And I don't want to see just personality. I want to see actions, okay, that we can actually see, okay? Naughty. Fuang says naughty, sure. Steal wedding presents. Be creative, right? Okay. So again, be very careful. I do not want to see just personality in the chat. As soon as you write down personality, I want you to back it up with some action. Be creative. So loud, screaming for minutes at a time. Naughty, stealing wedding presents. Okay? Give me more. Okay, Angel, you're going the other way. Now you're giving me an action, but you're not giving me the personality. So Angel, what's the personality for that? And Angel, it's good. You can think about it both ways. So pushing people on the dance floor. Okay. So what would that be? What would be the personality, Angel? Okay, Gopu says lacking etiquette. Okay, give me an action for that, Gopu. Okay, these are good. Okay, Angel, when you push people, you are being what? There's a very simple personality trait for that. Okay, and lacking etiquette, Gopu. There's a lot of very good ways, especially at a wedding, that you could back that up with action. I have immediately 3 or 4 in my head. Okay. So, for example, talking with a mouthful of food, Gopu, right? Hi, cousin. Hi, good to see you. Food flying out of your mouth, right? Visualize it. Visualizing is absolutely key, okay? All right. Pushing people on the dance floor, Angel, not so much annoying. I would say aggressive. Okay. An aggressive child. Okay. So good. As soon as you have about 3 or 4 of these, you're good. Okay, so they're loud, they're screaming for minutes at a time, they're naughty, they're stealing wedding presents, they're being aggressive, pushing people on the dance floor, they're lacking etiquette, talking with their mouth full of food. So there are lots of good personalities backed by action. Students, again, when people talk about people in the IELTS, the number one mistake that makes their communication a lower level is they just keep listing personality with no action. So I have a cousin I don't really like. They're rude, they're loud, they're annoying. And it's like, okay, what does all that mean? Like, so what happens? How are they rude? How are they annoying, right? You have to express that with action. It makes much more sense, okay? Snobbish, Alexi, okay? You have to, again, action. So anytime, students, that you are describing a person, it has to be personality plus action, okay? So, Alexi, what you should have there, if you say snobbish, is you should say does not greet his family, does not say hi. Okay, so that would be snobbish, where the person just ignores their family members. Okay, you have to put that into action. All right, so that's personality. Event, wedding, right? So here we go with the event. We've got the person, we've got the event. It's wedding. Now the time, let's say last year. August, around 20th. Okay. The events. Okay, so the attendees, maybe 100 people. Let's say it was your one of your other cousins' weddings. Okay, you've got family, you've got caterers. Okay. Again, don't spend too much time on the small pieces. Focus on the questions that are on the cue card, okay? The activities, right? So obviously there was the ceremony, the reception, the cutting of the cake, speeches, right? Maybe dancing, all right? All of those, okay? Experience, you had fun. Now think about the cue card. You don't need to write down fun because of course you're going to remember that you had fun. Get along, to not make a scene. Ruin the experience. Make parents happy. Okay? So you have to think about, why am I pretending to be friendly with my cousin? Let's call my cousin Jimmy. Let's give my cousin a name. Okay? Little Jimmy. Okay? So why am I pretending to be friendly with Jimmy? Well, because I don't want to ruin it for other people, and I don't see him much anyway. Okay? Okay, and your feelings at the end. Okay, maybe it was a bit awkward, but it was the right decision. Okay, so you put as many of these ideas onto paper as possible. And again, focus especially on those ideas that help you to give detail to your 2-minute presentation and help you elaborate. Because for those high band scores on the IELTS, again, that's what the examiner is looking for. They're looking for details. Use your notes for details, not for obvious ideas. Okay, I see that way too often where IELTS candidates put down obvious ideas onto the paper that are in their head anyway, and then they don't even use their note paper after. They just write it down and then they look at the examiner and the note paper becomes useless. Okay, all right. Angel says because the parents are obsessed with their child. Yeah, so to make the child happy. Okay, Romelia says they want to steal the thunder, to be the center of attention. Right, Romelia, so they are egocentric. Okay, the word there is egocentric, all right? All right. Exactly, Romelia. Okay, so now, before that 1 minute is up, it is so important to do this, students. And in a perfect world, you actually write this down. But if you don't have a chance to write it down, you definitely need to have it in your head. And this is the very important step 5. And this can help you save an easy half a band on your IELTS speaking. And many of you already know what I'm going to say. Get your first sentence ready. Okay? So here, my first sentence would be about a year ago, August of 2022, I was at my cousin Jill's wedding, and I had to pretend to be friendly. Notice how I'm just using the card. I'm not even paraphrasing here. I'm just using the card, and paraphrasing is a great idea, but for the first sentence, I mostly recommend just reflecting the card topic. Okay, show the examiner that you are being original. You're not using a template. Like you don't want to do that in this case. Like, there are lots of times where I've had to pretend to be friendly with others. Okay, you probably would not want to say that. I'll tell you why in a second. When you'll think it's funny too. But you want to be original, and you want to tackle the card directly. So about a year ago, August of 2022, I was at my cousin Jill's wedding, and I had to pretend to be friendly with my younger cousin Jimmy, my dad's sister's son. Okay, yeah, you definitely would not, do not start like this, okay? So do not start by saying, there are many times where I have pretended to be friendly with a person that I don't like, but the one I would like to talk about today is, okay? You would not want to do that, all right? For one simple reason. And yeah, Amra, you would not want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. Exactly, the examiner's going, here we go again. If a person is always pretending to be friendly or pretending to be someone that they're not, there's an expression for that. Anybody know what we call that? So when a person doesn't show their original thoughts or emotions, when they show different sides to them. So a person who shows unoriginal or not authentic emotions all the time is referred to as being, yeah, that's right, Romelia Chayani, very good. They're called two-faced. Yes, very good. So I probably wouldn't want to say that to the examiner. Like, there are many situations where I've pretended to be friendly. In fact, this is one right now, me talking to you. I'm pretending to be your best friend, but it's just because I want this great IELTS score. On the other hand, I really don't like you. So, no. That would be funny though. If I were your examiner, I'd have a good laugh about it. All right. Some examiners, maybe not so much. Not so much. All right. Don't joke with the examiner, okay? So here we go. Have your first sentence ready. Super important, so that when the examiner says, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up, you can say, about a year ago, August of 2022, I was at my cousin Jill's wedding. And I had to pretend to be friendly with my younger cousin Jimmy, my dad's sister's son. This was a fairly large wedding. Held at the Fairmont hotel in Banff, and there were about 100 people present. Lots of family and friends, and of course caterers. Okay. So what am I doing here, members? And so what am I doing with this, with these first couple of sentences? Okay. Let me continue a little bit while you think about that. So what am I doing? Okay. Yeah. Yes, exactly, Angel. Okay, so now I go, Jimmy is 12 years old and extremely spoiled his parents buy him whatever he desires. So he is a bit overweight, about 130 centimeters tall, short, dark hair, and a round, pudgy face. Okay. So Shruti says I'm answering who and when and where also, Shruti, right? But I don't like candidates to think about W questions so much. It's okay. It's okay to think about who, what, when, where. But I'm also creating something here. What am I creating? Okay, so just look at this one more time, right? About a year ago, August of 2022, I was at my cousin Jill's wedding, and I had to pretend to be friendly with my younger cousin Jimmy, my dad's sister's son. This was a fairly large wedding held at the Fairmont Hotel in Banff, and there were about 100 people present, lots of family and friends, and of course, caterers. Jimmy is 12 years old, extremely spoiled. His parents buy him whatever he desires, so he's a bit overweight, about 130 centimeters tall, short, dark hair, and a round, pudgy face. What am I doing? Okay. So this, in a sense, is narration, right? So part two is a narrative story. Okay. Now, a narrative story, as of course many of you know from your school days, needs a setting and needs characters. So a narrative story, you have to begin by creating the setting. Okay. So, and the setting is time, location, characters. Okay, that's basically what we're doing in a nutshell, right? Creating the setting, the time, the location, the characters. You are a storyteller in these 2 minutes. And if you're a great storyteller and answer the cue card, you get a great score. Okay, so don't focus on the question itself, like, oh no, I have to talk about a person I was friendly about, but focus on being a good storyteller. Okay, whatever the topic, right? Okay, unfortunately, the seating plan put me right next to Jimmy, both at the ceremony and at the reception. I had to wear a smile the whole day, even though I was quite frustrated on several occasions. Jimmy is very loud. He constantly tried to talk over top of me at the dinner, and he was making noises during the wedding vows. Vows? There. Wedding vows. Wedding vows is when the groom or the bride, they say, I will love you forever. I will take care of you in times of illness, and so on. Okay, so that's what's going on. All right, he is disrespectful and aggressive during the dancing. He was running around and pushing and bumping into the people on the dance floor. Now, don't forget the card, okay? So do not forget the topic, Okay? This is very important. Oftentimes, people will digress during the 2 minutes and kind of steer off the topic of the cue card. So you have to come back to that at least 2-3 times during your response. And I keep telling this to candidates. Don't kind of go off and now just talk about how terrible Jimmy is. It's not about how terrible Jimmy is. It's how you had to pretend to be friendly. Don't forget that, right? So use your linking words. Here, the idea behind this cue card for sure is checking to see how well you can do cause and effect or contrast, right? So even though I don't much favor Jimmy, I stayed calm and pretended to like him so that I wouldn't spoil the mood and make his parents or mine unhappy. I knew that the day would eventually come to an end and I wouldn't need to put up with any more of Jimmy's antics for quite some time after. Okay? All right. So we're kind of nearing that 2-minute mark at this point. And what I would do here, of course, is to just check the card. Make sure I've answered everything. Okay? So who was this person? When did it happen? Why you had to be friendly and why you don't like him or her? What did you think about it later? If I still have some time, if the examiner hasn't stopped me, I would just conclude this very nicely. Ultimately, this day was not about me or Jimmy, but it was the most special day for my cousin Jill. So I think that I made the right decision to ignore Jimmy as much as possible and to maintain a cool head. Okay? All right. So there you have it, students. Again, now you're probably thinking, hey, that's not that bad. So, okay, a person I have to be friendly with, I can make this up. I've got, some good ideas around this. Now I just need to focus on my English. And of course, here I'm teaching you some words as well. I'm sure you caught many interesting expressions and vocabulary. You can do it in a simple way. You can do it in a challenging way. The goal is just to do it, right? So there are multiple ways to summit Mount Everest. There are difficult routes and there are less difficult routes. Ultimately, the goal is just to get to the top, right? Okay, so take a look at this, members. Hopefully you're also planning some of your responses because I will call upon volunteers shortly and I'm really looking forward to what you have come up with. In the meantime, let's go through this and make sure to speak and repeat, okay? So speak and repeat. So copy what I say, copy how I say it. Here we go, everybody. So talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. About a year ago, August of 2022, I was at my cousin Jill's wedding and I had to pretend to be friendly with my younger cousin Jimmy, my dad's sister's son. This was a fairly large wedding held at the Fairmont Hotel in Banff. And there were about 100 people present, lots of family and friends, and of course, caterers. Jimmy is 12 years old and extremely spoiled. His parents buy him whatever he desires, so he's a bit overweight, about 100 centimeters tall, short dark hair, and a round pudgy face. Unfortunately, the seating plan put me right next to Jimmy, both at the ceremony and at the reception. I had to wear a smile the whole day, even though I was quite frustrated with Jimmy on several occasions. Jimmy is very loud. He constantly tried to talk over top of me at dinner, and he was making noises during the wedding vows. He is disrespectful and aggressive. During the dancing, he was running around and pushing and bumping into people on the dance floor. Even though I don't much favor Jimmy, I stayed calm and pretended to like him so that I wouldn't spoil the mood and make his parents or mine unhappy. I knew that the day would eventually come to an end and I wouldn't need to put up with any more of Jimmy's antics for quite some time. Ultimately, this day was not about me or Jimmy, but it was the most special day for my cousin Jill, so I think I made the right decision to ignore Jimmy as much as possible and to maintain a cool head. All right, your time is up. We will now go on to part 3. Okay. Angel, vows are promises. Promises. It's almost a perfect synonym. So vows are promises, promises to do. Okay. So for example, it's a good question. For example, Angel, you can say something like, I vow to uphold the law. I vow to never speak ill of others. Okay. For instance, those would be examples of vows. They're promises. Okay. Yeah, students, if there's an expression that's unclear, ask me. Okay. If you're thinking it, somebody else is probably thinking it as well. All right. Okay. Members, let's do this. Let's do some volunteering. So volunteering for speaking, everybody. This is how we do it. Go to the website, aehelp.com. Register a free or a paid account. Everybody who's watching, do this because we're going to not only take volunteers this class, but we're going to take volunteers next class also. Alexi has kindly put the instructions into the chat. So go to aehelp.com. You can access through gieltshelp.com, this green website also. Okay, aehelp.com. Again, everybody, if you're in these classes regularly, I totally recommend joining the premium package. Let us help you. Okay, click that big red button and join that premium package. Spend a few dollars, get all of the materials that we use in the live classes. Premium members have perks. Okay, go to your My Student account and click on Student Partner Speaking. Okay. When you click on Student Partner Speaking, you will be in this interface here with Vikash, Shruti, Sam, Lexi, Virgo, Amra, and many other awesome and amazing people. And then search for me. You're going to find me in here as Master. Okay. Once you have found me, send me a message by clicking on the blue envelope and then just typing, hey, I want to volunteer, or let me try. Okay. All right. Let me put on my headphones. Do the same, students. If you have headphones and or a headset, that's definitely a good idea. Using a good, strong internet connection is a good idea. Using a computer is a good idea. Phones, dynamic connections, they tend to be a little bit more challenging. Okay. All right. We haven't heard from Amra in a bit, so let's try Amra. Let's see if Amra is there. Amra, are you ready? We've got a bit of time, so hang in there, students. And I will be looking for those that didn't have a chance in the last couple classes this week. So Amra, if I'm not mistaken, you haven't. Keep going. So if you're there, Amra, let me know. And again, students, if you're stuck, if you can't hear what's going on here through the website, a good idea is to just refresh the website, do a shift refresh.
Well, sir.
Hi, Amra. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. What about you?
I'm doing quite well also. Thank you for asking. All right. Amra, let's do this. So I'm going to start you off for this cue card. Let me just bring it up on the screen. And you can practice the same kind of topic we talked about, being friendly with a family member at a wedding, or if you want to try a completely different approach, it's up to
Yeah.
you. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So that is the end of part one. We will now continue with part two. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
A few years ago, back in 2020, a person with whom I had to pretend to be friendly was my neighbor, Mrs. Gunai. I was watching TV at home when suddenly I heard a woman's scream at the entrance. When I rushed down to see what had happened, I saw one of my next door neighbors who was loud since she was making excessive noises while I was studying at home, and rude because she was engaging in disrupting events that disturbed peace of other people living in the block. And for that reason, I despised her. She fell from the stairs and broke her leg. I immediately took her to a doctor to see what happened. And after examining her, the doctor gave instructions to look after and take care of her. And because she wasn't able to move independently because of her of a fractured ankle. Um, Even though it was extremely difficult to deal with her bossy attitude and uh, impertinent behavior, I reluctantly agreed to follow the doctor's instructions. And during this time, I provided her with much needed support and assisted her with household chores. And after that event, I felt a sense of pride because not only helped her in difficult situation, but also profoundly changed her behavior.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there, and we will now continue with part three. Okay, so here, Amra, that was great. Amra, your fluency is like a band 9, okay? You're very fluent. Obviously, so great fluency. You're just talking without pausing. Your lexical resource is also about a band 9, so you've got a lot of great vocabulary. I'll highlight that in a moment. Okay. Your grammatical range is also, I would say, at least an 8. Okay. Your grammatical accuracy is about a 7.5. There are a few places where you make some mistakes, but overall it's quite good, quite clear. Your pronunciation here was about a, let's say 7. I'll tell you why in a second. And then your coherence was about a 7, and I'll tell you why in a second. So overall, you would score for this somewhere in the neighborhood of a 7.5 to maybe an 8. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so, for me, it's challenging too, because I'm also noting and thinking and recording. So I've got a lot going on here, but the examiner doesn't write down what you say. They just record it, and they're just paying attention to your mistakes only. So I'll let you know what you did really well. So again, I mean, you can see from your scores what you did well. You started right away. So a few years ago, back in 2020, a person with whom I had to be friendly with. So really nice adjective clause there with the person. So whom I had to be friendly with is Mrs. Gunai. And then you created the situation. You said I was watching TV when suddenly I heard some screaming outside my door. She was making excessive noises. I was studying at home, and for this reason you despised her. Despise is a very strong word, but it's a high level word, so it's good. Here you made an awkward grammatical mistake. You said she falled down from the stairs and broke her leg. She fell. Right? Fall is an irregular verb, and it's a common verb. So at your level, Amra, you don't want to make mistakes with common verbs like fall, fell. Okay, fallen. Okay, so just repeat after me. She fell from the stairs and broke her leg.
She fell from the stairs and broke her leg.
Okay, and then you said I immediately took her to the doctor. She was unable to move independently. She was unable, not enable. Okay.
Unable.
Yeah. So she was unable to move independently because of a fractured ankle. So again, just the word fractured, really nice paraphrase for broken, right? A more technical way to say broken ankle is a fractured ankle. You had good connectives, like even though it was extremely difficult to deal with her, I reluctantly helped her. That was good. You said, I assisted her with household chores. It's chores, ch. The sound is a ch sound, not a k sound. So just repeat after me. I assisted her with household chores.
I assisted her with household chores.
Yeah, and generally we wouldn't say household. Chores implies household, so I assisted her with chores like washing the dishes, taking out the garbage.
I assisted her with chores like washing dishes and taking garbage from the garden.
And taking out the garbage.
Taking out the garbage.
Yeah, that's the expression, take out the garbage, taking out the garbage. Okay, so those corrections in those grammatical mistakes with regular versus irregular verb, or just those slight pronunciation mistakes, if you improve those, then you'll definitely move up to that band 8, 8.5. Now, the other mistake that I felt was a bit awkward here and definitely cost about a half a band to a band in the overall response here was the clarity. So I wasn't clear exactly what happened. To me, it sounds like you have this neighbor, Miss Gunai, and she was coming over to your house and she rolled down some stairs, broke her leg, and started screaming. And you thought that she was really rude because she's screaming. But I'm feeling really terrible for this poor woman who's in all this pain, screaming at the bottom of your stairs. So my question here, is she screaming because she broke her leg, or was she screaming before she broke her ankle?
After she broken her leg, she
Okay,
was screaming.
but you didn't know that, right? Now,
Yeah,
I'm guessing that you probably didn't much like your neighbor before this situation. So even before she broke her ankle, you weren't a big fan of Mrs. Ganai. She wasn't the kindest neighbor. Is that correct?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you have to clearly explain that, because unfortunately the way you told this to me, it felt like you didn't like her because she was screaming. But then, and I'm like, it's kind of mean, like, it's, if I break my ankle, I'm gonna be screaming too. So you have to
Yeah.
say do you see what I'm saying, Amra? Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that part can be easily misunderstood by your listener, and I think what you were trying to say is, Miss Ganai has been my neighbor, and this is where the present perfect, right? Has been my neighbor as long as I can remember, and she has never been nice to me. Can you try that?
Yes. She has been neighbor to me as far as I remember, uh, and I forgot so much.
She has never been nice to me.
She has never been nice to me.
Okay, so I think that part was unclear, and I intrinsically felt, so I figured out why you were saying this, but again, just the way you did it, it was a bit awkward. And then the other part that I felt was missing is why you actually were friendly with her, right? And again, I can guess that it's probably because she is your elder, you respect her. But you need to tell me that, right? So Mrs. Ganai is like my grandmother. She's 60 years old and I respect her. So I pretended to be friendly with her. Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, yes. Mrs. Unai, she's like my grandmother. She is 60 years old, and I decided to help her uh, and to pretend to be friendly
Because I respect her
because I respect her
as she is my elder.
as she's my elder.
Okay, so that has to be clear as well in this context. So those two pieces I felt were really missing to give this narrative and overall clarity. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you see what
Yeah,
I'm trying to?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you would have had that coherence, that's the coherence part, and the coherence is the most important part of your communication always. So you always want to make sure that you're working on that coherence. So Amra, with that coherence, you would have had a much better score. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay, Amra, keep up the good work. All right. Focus on that coherence, and you'll get there. All right.
All right. Thank you, sir, very
Okay.
much.
You're welcome. Bye, Amra.
Right.
All right, everybody, let's give Amra a thumbs up. I mean, that was, it is, challenging to create good stories, no doubt. But Amra, took it head on, which was great. Okay. All right. Let's look for another one of our members. Now, this is members' choice first, everybody, in this class. I don't think we've heard from Gopu in a while, so let's see if Gopu is here. I might have a connectivity issue here, Gopu, so I'm gonna have to refresh my page. So I'm refreshing my page, everybody, and do the same, and then I'll send you a message here, Gopu, and everybody else who's still there and wants to volunteer, just send me a message again. I'm just doing a quick shift refresh to reconnect to the server on my end. Okay, and please do the same. All right, I can see lots of you are connecting now. All right, just gonna give Gopu a quick second chance, okay? Yeah, Amra, Angel has a really nice accent, absolutely. So like I said, pronunciation was quite good except for a couple of mispronounced words like chores, okay? All right. Gopu, I don't see you in there yet. Angel, I don't see you in here at all. It would be good if you volunteered as well to try. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's take somebody else for the moment. If you are a member, by the way, and you haven't said anything in the chat, it's hard for me to put two and two together. So Sam, for example, or Shruti, if you're a member, please. Oh, Shruti, I see that you're in there. Yeah, okay. While we wait for somebody, let's give Shruti a chance. We don't much hear from Shruti. So Shruti, are you ready? Okay, Gopu, I don't see you in there, so reconnect. You have to refresh your page. Okay, refresh your chat page, I mean.
Hello,
Hi Shruti, how are you?
I'm fine. Good. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for asking. And I bet you've been practicing hard since we last talked, right?
Yeah,
All right. You have an exam
Just
coming
harder.
up soon, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us when your exam is?
It's next week on 28th.
6 days. All right. Fingers crossed, Shruti. So, Shruti, in that exam on the 28th, just remember this strategy, okay? When you're going into part 2, stick to strategy. Plan it out in the 1 minute. Stay calm. Get that first sentence ready, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do this, Shruti. So here we go. I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
So, the person I had to be amiable was with one of my sister's best friends, Shikha. She was an appealing personality with long black straight hair and big eyes. She was a beautiful girl and very friendly spoken, but was very clever enough to take advantage of the people around her. My sister befriended her during the start of her university, and she often used to visit our home. Whenever she used to come to our place, she used to bring good gifts for me and show helping nature towards my parents. But I found it little flattering because she wanted to be in the good books of my sister, as my sister was very intelligent, and this girl wanted my sister to complete her assignments when she could roam around doing nothing. She often used to shift her assignments responsibility to my sister and go to watch a movie with some of her other friends. Once she gifted me a nice fancy blue strapped watch on my birthday because she wanted my sister to teach her during the exams as she was not preparing for anything from a long. Also, although I found the gift fascinating, I was upset with her as she wanted to gain benefit from my sister, and I could not see anyone misusing my sister's kindness. Eventually, I tried to tell this truth to my sister, but she was not ready to listen to me, thinking that I wanted to break the bond of with her so-called best friend. Subsequently, I had to show affection towards Shikha as I don't want my sister to think anything wrong about me. After 2 years, this girl started avoiding my sister when their degree ended, and my sister came up knowing about her reality, seeing her true face, and she came to me apologizing. Later, I thought that I should have tried again to make my sister understand the real intention of Shikha and save my sister from the emotional breakdown which she has suffered after she felt cheated.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there and we will now continue with part 3. Okay, that was really good. That was really nice, Shruti. Very similar to Amra, Shruti. Very, very similar to Amra. So in many aspects. So I would give you almost the same scores on all of those different elements that I gave to Amra. So your fluency is fantastic. You don't have to stop and think about what you're going to say next.
Okay.
It's still kind of the same situation as when we had our discussion. So some of your phrases are a little bit awkward, a little bit off. Some of your word choices a bit off, but not as much as before. You're improving. So I think that the overall score here would be a 7.5, but very close to an 8. I think some examiners would give you an 8 for this. Okay. With just a few corrections, you would definitely get that 8. So you said, so the person I had to be amiable with. And amiable is good. It means to show affection or to show kindness, show liking towards a person. So it's a good substitute for the word friendly. I do recommend, though, that at the start, just use friendly. So really, because there was a slight grammatical and pronunciation inaccuracy, so it's just better to use the exact topic for that first sentence and then later use, so I was amiable with her so that my sister would not be displeased. So use that word later. Keep it in your head and use it later, okay?
Okay.
All right. So the person I had to be amiable with is one of my sister's best friends. Yeah, I caught that. I just didn't write it. Best friends, Shika. Okay. And then you said she was a very beautiful, well-spoken person. You did a good job creating the situation and explaining why you had to be friendly with this person. So that was really good. Your coherence was quite strong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you used some really nice expressions. You said she wanted to be in the good books of my sister. Yeah. Good books means to be liked, to be admired by the person. Um, and then here you said she often shifted her assignments to my sister. That's not the way it would be expressed naturally. Can you think about how that's better said in English? She often shifted her assignments. What do you think would be a
I said
different?
she often shifted her responsibility of completing her assignments,
She
I
often
think.
shifted her responsibility, okay, of completing her assignments. Not shifted. What do you think would be better than shifted? The word shifted. Phrasal verb.
I could
Passed
not think
off.
right now.
It's a tricky one. Passed off the
Oh,
responsibility.
yeah.
Okay, so just repeat after me. She often passed off the responsibility of completing her assignments to my sister.
She often passed her responsibility of completing her assignments to my sister.
She often passed off the responsibility of completing her assignments to
She
my sister.
often passed off the responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah. And now what we're talking about here, so there was some kind of missing vocabulary. Like I felt like what you're trying to say here is she bribed my sister with gifts and smiles to do her schoolwork instead of her.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're talking about here is a form of bribery, right? Emotional bribery. So she bribed my sister with gifts and smiles to do her schoolwork instead of her.
Okay.
Try it.
She used to bribe my sister with her smile and some gifts to get her assignments done.
Good. So when you're bribing somebody with some gifts and you're telling them, oh, you're so pretty, you're great, can you just do this assignment for me? We can go have fun after. There's another word that comes into play here that I think would be very effective and very useful. It starts with the letter M. And this isn't just for Shruti, everybody. I hope everybody else is repeating and thinking about these as well. What's that word? Starts with an M. Ma. It starts with M-A-N. I didn't like that she was manipulate, Shruti. She was
Manipulate. Yeah.
manipulating my sister. If a person has this personality where they keep manipulating others, we call them a what type of person? What's the person adjective? Alexi put it into the chat. She
It's
is,
manipulative.
that's right, she is manipulative. Yeah. Okay, so again, overall, very good. So definitely your speech, Shruti, is between that good to very good, and you're really on the cusp of that 8. So just a little bit more practice, a little bit more push, and you'll get there. Just really pay attention to those word choices. In fact, Shruti, I would suggest maybe even slowing down 5% and using that extra bit of time to think, okay, yeah, she's manipulative. She's bribing my sister, okay? And then you'll get there,
Okay.
all right? Okay, Shruti, thank you so much for volunteering. Keep it up.
Thank you for giving a chance.
You're very welcome. Bye for now, Shruti.
Bye.
All right, that was Shruti. Let's give Shruti a thumbs up. Very good, Amra, Shruti. Awesome. Okay, nice. Gopu, yes, I can see you. Let's see. Are you there? Okay. Nice, thumbs up, good support, everybody. Gopu, I just sent you a message. If you can see it, let me know, and we will connect. Okay. Give Gopu a chance here. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hey, Sar.
Hi,
How are you?
Gopu. I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm getting better actually. I mean, I've been under the weather for the past 3 days, so it is kind of, yeah. I would say really, I would say to you, sir, take care. I mean, the weather is really fluctuating, and when you
It's
go out there, yeah,
yeah,
it is kind
it's
of be careful
it's
with that.
it's springtime. It's springtime. That's part of it, right? We think it's summer. We run outside with a t-shirt and shorts, and then we realize, wait a second, it's cold. Right? I agree.
Mm,
Okay, Gopu, let's jump into it. So here we go. I'm going to start you off.
sure, sure, yeah.
All right, let's begin part two. Talk about a person you had to be friendly with, but you didn't really like. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
The person that I don't feel really fit into it, and her name is Mr. X. I don't want to reveal her real name. So it happened 2 years, I'm sorry, 2 months back, and my friends and I were practicing a group discussion regarding different topics, and it was a spoken English classes. So out of the blue, she came into the picture, and she was talking in the middle of the conversation. So it was kind of really nagging and annoying too. So, but I was the leader of that group, so I had to. I knew I had to uh, keep the decorum of the group and keep the conversation going on a good and positive and constructive way. So I asked her some questions and be polite with her, but she was really rude. She was acting in a rude way, and the conversation was really, didn't went well. So, so eventually she understands. She was not. Uh, I mean, um, I mean, uh, fit into that picture, but um, I didn't say anything badly to her. But thinking back from that moment, I felt proud of myself because I handled that situation very well, and I felt sad for her because she behaved in mature way. Not in a etiquette, and she didn't show any etiquette. But so I really wish she will to find her own path in the future.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there, and we will now continue with part three. All right, Gopu, excellent. So overall, that would be about a band 6.5.
Oh God.
Yeah, overall. So here, it's interesting. Okay, let me break it down for you. So your fluency here would be like a 7. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because it's, how should I say this? It's a bad 7, and I'm going to explain why I say a bad 7. Okay, and
Okay.
your grammatical range is about a 7, but your grammatical accuracy is closer to a 6, and your pronunciation is a 6, and I'm going to explain that as well. It's a bit awkward, but I'm going to explain that as well in a second. Your lexical resource is like an 8, so your vocabulary would be like an 8. Okay, you actually have quite good vocabulary for sure. Let me get into these a bit more. Okay, so you're fluent, you're talking continuously, you're not stopping. However, you have, and this is connected with your pronunciation. So here the pronunciation and the fluency is connected. So when we talk about pronunciation, we don't just talk about the individual pronunciation of words. So when you say a word, like when you say the word annoying or conversation, or you say a phrasal verb like fit in, you say it clearly. I understand the word very, very clearly. However, your intonation and your pacing is awkward. So it's like you're breaking your speech into these small little pieces, like you're like the person, I don't feel very I don't want to give her a real name, but my friends, so see, I'm fluent, but I have this very awkward pacing, and because of
Right.
that it makes it challenging. So, and I know this is a part of your diction, it's a part of your style of speech, and it's challenging. So I'm just very objectively telling you, it's not don't take this personally. It's not about feelings. It's just very
No, no,
objective,
no, not at all, sir.
right?
Yeah.
So what I recommend that you do, Gopu, is work on your style. We can change our diction, and I do recommend changing your diction. So focus on having a more rhythmic style of speech where you have a strong, clear start and you flow through your sentences. So I was the leader of this group and I knew that I had to keep the conversation going, so I pretended to be friendly with her. Can you just try this? I want you to follow the rhythm of what I'm saying, okay? I'm going to say it one more time. So I was the leader of this group and I knew I had to keep the conversation going, so I pretended to be friendly with her.
I was the leader of that group, and I knew she was not fit into that group. That's why I gave myself. I forgot that.
Right. See, so that's where you get into these awkward breaks. So take it in chunks, right? So go in pieces. So
Chunks, yeah.
I was the leader of the group, so I knew I had to keep this conversation going.
I knew the conversation has to go in.
Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. I was the leader of the group, so I knew I had to keep the conversation going.
I was the leader of the group. I knew I had it has
I
the
had
conversation has to go.
I
I,
had
ha-
to keep the conversation going.
I had to keep the conversation going.
So I pretended to be friendly with her.
So I pretended to be friendly with her.
Okay, so 3 pieces, then 2 pieces, then 1 piece. I was the leader of the group, so I had to keep the conversation going. Therefore, I pretended to be friendly with her.
I was the leader of the group, so I had to
Keep the conversation going.
keep the conversation going, and so I pretended to be friend with her.
Okay, so you need to practice this, Gopu. You need to practice this
Yeah.
more fluid, rhythmic, connected style of speech. And that's when you're going to take all of that beautiful vocabulary that you have and really make it useful in your speech, okay? And as soon as you do that, your overall score will go from a 6.5 and it will skyrocket to a 7.5, even an 8, right? It will take practice. It will take effort, Gopu. I'm not going to lie to you. But you need to do it. You need to do it. So don't worry too much about vocabulary. I think you have lots. Focus on your intonation and on that diction, okay?
But my test is happening on day after tomorrow.
You can do a lot. You can train your brain a lot even in that 48 hours. So just keep doing it, okay?
Yeah, sometimes I felt like I'm having the dyslexic regarding the vocabularies, and I don't know if the chunking. I tried the chunking, and I like the concept, and it really helps me to get fluent. So by hearing your feedback, I got that. I knew this is the one thing that always dragged me down to the band 6.5 or 6. So I got it. So yeah, thank you, sir. I will try.
Do your best. Lots of energy. Just put lots of energy behind each sentence, okay? I know you can do it. It's
Right.
there. And if it doesn't happen in 48 hours on this upcoming test, it will happen after. Just don't give up, okay?
No, sir.
All
So,
right.
can I ask you something like
Sure.
So how can I practice the karaoke version of the full karaoke version?
For the
in
speaking.
website.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and for you, those karaoke speaking videos would be extremely good. So just for everybody, what Gopu is asking about is, for instance, this video that we just released, and for you, Gopu, that's a very good question. That's exactly what you want to do, is use this video. I'll put that into the chat one more time. So what you want to do, okay, good question. Open up one of those karaoke style videos, and when you see so you see me asking the question, and then you see the response, and then when you see the response, you see the karaoke light up the words with the correct pacing, right? So you should follow that pacing, okay? So follow with that pacing. If you you should, do you have access to the full course? If you have access to the full course, then you should see those karaoke videos in there as well.
That's what I'm asking, sir. I am unable to see these videos. Like I searched in these, I mean, speaking videos, and there are plethora of speaking videos like 80, 89 or 82, but
Yeah.
I couldn't find these full section, like this, I mean, the last list.
Oh, yeah, so this one is up on YouTube. It's not up on the full course yet. That will be up on the full course probably in the next 1 or 2 days. So the full version comes after the partial version on the YouTube. We try to get them up as fast as possible, but you will find other ones, karaoke ones that are on there.
Yeah, I will work on that.
Yeah, so work on those ones. And what you should do, Gopu, is at first do it once or twice while looking at the karaoke, and then try to do it without looking at the karaoke. Okay, so without looking at the highlighted text, all right? It's really important that you do that last step where you're doing it without the highlighted text, and then try to follow just like what we were doing right now with your response, okay? That's the same idea. So first use the karaoke once or twice, then jump back and do it without, okay?
Right, sure.
That's very smart, Gopu. That was a very smart question. That's exactly what you want to do, okay?
Sir, I'm waiting for part 3. If we could, when there is less people, I can also try part 3.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, Gopu, hang in there because part 3 is coming up soon, right? So hopefully you'll be in that class too. Okay, Gopu, thank you so much. Have an awesome day, and come back for the next class, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Bye for now. All right, that was Gopu. Just do it like Nike. Exactly, Amra. You just got to do it. But Gopu sounds like he's on the right track because he identified what part of the full course is very useful. Yeah, students, so what Gopu was asking about is in the lesson videos here, we have 89 or 90 example videos, and in here there are sample karaoke style videos as well. Let me see if I can bring one up for you here. So did you notice how not a karaoke style one? Let me see. It'll be one of these. In the app you can clearly see which one's the karaoke style one.
Then in the other language,
what
would it be and why?
So you can see here, I don't know if you guys can see the, let me try to drag this out, and then, now you'll see it. So this is the karaoke. I'll take a minute to show you this. So this is the karaoke style. Let me rewind, and you'll see. So here I ask a question: how have learning languages changed? And then here comes the karaoke.
Languages changed.
Studying languages has changed a lot in the past few decades because of considerable improvements in technology and rapid globalization. It has become much more possible to study from native speakers of a language both locally and through the internet. I've studied a lot of English with native tutors and using apps. Okay, so you use that karaoke and try to match that speed. All right, if it's too fast, then in the player, slow it down by a quarter. Okay. All right, so that's what Gopu was asking about. There's lots in these videos. Okay. All right, everybody. That's available from the premium package on the website after you join by clicking that big red button there, okay, above my head. Students, I'm going to be back in 25 minutes with speaking part 3. Until then, do check out the websites and do check out those karaoke videos. They're great for your learning. Amra, you're very welcome. Chayani, Angel, yes, see you shortly. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you, members. The next class will be open to everybody for the chat. So hang out, come back. More English coming up very, very soon. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria for now. Bye.